So I also really enjoyed how the film shows various struggles and the overlap between various struggles, like the women's movement, workers' movement, of course the Dalit movement. So what I want to know is how is the film being received and circulated within these various groups?
The film was received very well in the beginning. It's over a year since it was made, and we did lots and lots of screenings in the bastis with a huge big screen and our own projector, and we would get thousands of people watching at a time whenever the weather was good, when it was not raining. So that process of screening has slowed down at the moment, but only because of our own strength, and we don't have enough people to do more screenings like that. We do it whenever we can. And DVDs are circulating, so we have there's a Hindi version, these are subtitled because it's a film that has so much music that I couldn't do dubbing on it, para-dubbing. So what we did was subtitles, so it only reaches the literate audience. In Marathi, there's no problem in Maharashtra, so it can be shown as is without any subtitles. But the Hindi version we've got for the Hindi areas, and we have a Tamil version also. So wherever there's a demand, we're making new versions of the film.
Yeah, and just a little comment. I thought that a film like this really demands another apparatus for its circulation and for people to view it and experience it in a different way. So it's really wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
That's how it's being circulated.
Well, I mean, it's being done on a small scale. I won't say that it's... the problem with all of these films is that they still, no matter how hard we work and our little networks that we have, they just reach a tiny fraction of the population of our country, which is so huge. And really the only way to make a political impact with a film like this is for it to be on TV, not just once but many times. And that TV, as you know, is not in our hands. I mean, whether it's the government-controlled Doordarshan or the private channels won't hear of it because nobody wants to advertise with a film like this. No, you can see that if anything, it's anti-advertising. So, that I'm restricted to Doordarshan, and we fight against Doordarshan when they deny telecast. And in the past I've won many court cases against Doordarshan to force them to show my films. So this process will go on for this film also. So because only then, when it's shown on TV to millions of people, could you feel somewhat satisfied that it's reaching people. Because otherwise our own, even if I do 1,000 people screenings every week, I'm reaching a fraction of the population.
When I do read Dalit writing in sites like Roundtable India, there's a very strong sort of anti-Gandhi streak, which is something I did not see at all here. In fact, those kind of pro-Gandhi.
Yeah. Well, I can answer for that. That's my bias. Because I think that the people who drive Gandhi and Dr. Ambedkar apart are doing a disservice to the people of India, just as those who are driving the left movement and Dr. Ambedkar apart. Because I think that these are all movements for liberation, movements for against the kind of rapacious economic development that you see today, which is actually empowering only the super rich. So I think that whether it's Gandhi, Ambedkar or Marx, I mean, they're all, in some ways they are talking similar language, although on the surface it looks like totally opposite. I mean, what does Dr. Ambedkar and Gandhi have in common? One thing I would say is that they have in common non-violence, that they use non-violence to make their changes. Ambedkar chose Buddhism as the vehicle for change, and the other thing is that people often forget that it was Gandhi who insisted that that Dr. Ambedkar be made the author of the Constitution, the main draftsperson for the Constitution.
The one thing is, even the fiercest critics of Babasaheb Thackeray say that he never indulged in caste politics, but he actually did, which your documentary tells me. So thank you for that. And secondly, I'd like to say, do you think the documentary scene in India is changing? Because your film is being screened in Films Division, which is basically a government agency. So, do you think...
No, I I have a lot of respect for Films Division in many ways because, for instance, the Mumbai International Film Festival, which used to be the Bombay International Film Festival, was begun by the Films Division. And people in it, I'm not talking about the leadership or the director or anything like that. I'm talking about the hard work that goes into making these places for independent filmmakers. And they've not been selfish about only showing their films. They have included people from outside also, and I think that process is increasing right now. So I would encourage it. I don't see the Films Division as an enemy. In fact, I don't see government agency necessarily as my enemy, because I think I have a bigger enemy in the private sector. Like even with Doordarshan, I fight with them all the time. I take them to court all the time. But I win my court cases. With the private channels, I can't even take them to court because they say, no, who's going to pay for your film? Who's going to give advertising money for your film? I don't have a constitutional right to put my film on a private channel, but I have a constitutional right to put my film on Doordarshan, and I have a constitutional right to be in Films Division also. Well, I would probably agree with you that Bal Thackeray may not be a casteist. In fact, his father was a reformist in terms of caste. So Bal Thackeray came from a tradition that was not casteist, but at the same time, I would, rather than a casteist, I don't even consider him as a great Hindu champion either. I think he was more of a fascist. So I mean, I'm sure I'm going to be badly quoted here, but I think there's, even Savarkar was not a casteist in that sense. Even Savarkar would be willing to eat with Dalits and things like that, but Savarkar was a fascist, was using religion and the identity politics. At one point he stopped fighting the British and he's considered fighting Muslims. And so in that sense, I think we have to understand, we can't just put everybody in the same, we have to have a sophisticated understanding of what people's ideologies are and how they operate, because otherwise we'll make a mistake. So I don't think you can easily label Thackeray as a casteist, but it is true historically that the biggest fights that took place in Mumbai and Maharashtra were between the Shiv Sena and the Dalits. The biggest attacks on Dalits, whether it was in the Namantar movement where the Ambedkar University was being named Ambedkar University, or at various stages, the Varli riots, so many, the killing of Bhagwat Zada, which you saw, these were because they were sort of at the time when the Shiv Sena was coming to power, and they were using they had territorial ambitions in the area.
The documentary footage the footage that this guy had shot from across, and you were called to identify that's been edited in like two different perspectives. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, the film footage that you saw part of in the film was the footage given to the police by Ravi Shinde. At that time he was anonymous, he had given it, so-called. The police released it to the media 6 days after the event. And I just couldn't believe it. I'm a filmmaker. When I saw that footage, I knew that this is edited.
Buddhism says non-violence and all that. I find the Dalits leaning towards violence now. I find them actually superimposing Hinduism into the Buddhist way of statues and venerating posters and pictures, which is exactly what the Buddha said not to do. So, whereas
the original religions or original thoughts of great thinkers, they always get metamorphosed. But I still think that within the Buddhist tradition as it is today, practiced by Dalits, there's a far more egalitarian systems. I mean, the weddings are much simpler and all that. Although, yeah, to some extent, as people become well-to-do,
they're getting flashier because they pass by our house regularly with their movie music and in the middle of the night to go to the statue to Garland Ambedkar. I'm sure he didn't want that as well,
No, but I think Ambedkar is a very important symbol, and I mean, why should we deny that? I mean, and it's a way of celebration. I mean, it's a time to celebrate. Those all-night sessions that used to happen now. They stop at 10 o'clock, but they used to be all night singing sessions and all that is wonderful.
Thanks a lot, Anand. Thanks for sharing the film with us.